Have you ever wondered what it feels like to lose everything in a single night, only to discover that losing it was the greatest gift of your life? Stay with me, because this is not just a story about betrayal, it's about a woman who turned heartbreak into power, and a man who learned too late what he had destroyed. The night Amelia was thrown out of her own home, it was raining so hard it felt like the sky itself was grieving with her. Just hours earlier, she had been standing in a marble-floored mansion, staring at her husband Daniel, the man she had supported, loved, and believed in for over a decade. Now, he stood across from her, cold and distant, his success having hardened his heart. "I built everything," Daniel said, his voice sharp. "The company, the money, the life. You were just along for the ride." Amelia felt those words pierce deeper than any wound. She remembered the early days, when they lived in a tiny apartment, when she worked 2 jobs to support Daniel's dream, when she stayed up late helping him prepare presentations. She had believed they were building something together. "I was there before the millions," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Before the fame. Before you forgot who you were." Daniel didn't even flinch. "Take what's yours and leave." What was hers? The question echoed in her mind as she stepped out into the storm with a single suitcase. No home. No safety. No idea what came next. For days, Amelia wandered through a blur of cheap motels and sleepless nights. The betrayal replayed in her mind like a broken record. But slowly, something began to shift. Beneath the pain, there was anger. And beneath the anger, a spark. One evening, while going through old files on her laptop, she stumbled upon something she had almost forgotten, a business plan she had written years ago. It was her idea. A concept for a wellness platform focused on mental health support for women rebuilding their lives. Back then, Daniel had dismissed it. "It's not profitable enough," he had said. Now, sitting alone in a dimly lit room, Amelia looked at those words again. This time, they felt different. This time, they felt like possibility. With nothing left to lose, she decided to try. The beginning was brutal. Rejections came one after another. Investors ignored her. Friends she thought she could rely on disappeared. But Amelia refused to break again. She worked tirelessly, learning, adapting, pushing forward even when exhaustion threatened to consume her. Months turned into a year. Slowly, her platform began to gain attention. Women connected with her story. They saw themselves in her struggle. What started as a small project grew into something powerful, something real. And then, one day, everything changed. A major investor reached out, impressed by her growth and vision. The deal they offered wasn't just life-changing, it was validation. Amelia's company skyrocketed, attracting media attention and global recognition. She had built something meaningful. Something hers. Meanwhile, Daniel's world was beginning to crack. At first, he didn't notice the shift. His company was still profitable, his lifestyle still extravagant. But something was missing. The deals felt hollow. The victories felt empty. And slowly, the truth began to creep in, he hadn't just lost a wife. He had lost the one person who truly believed in him. When he finally saw Amelia again, it wasn't in the quiet of their old home. It was on a stage, in front of hundreds of people, delivering a speech that left the entire room silent. She spoke about resilience. About self-worth. About rising after being broken. Daniel watched from the back, his chest tightening with every word. This was the woman he had thrown away. And now, she was stronger than ever. After the event, he approached her. "Amelia," he said softly, his voice filled with something unfamiliar, regret. She turned to him, calm and composed. No anger. No pain. Just clarity. "I made a mistake," he admitted. "I thought success meant leaving everything behind. I didn't realize. I was leaving behind the most important part. For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Amelia smiled, but it wasn't the smile he remembered. It was different. Stronger. You didn't just leave me, Daniel, she said. You showed me who I needed to become. His heart sank. I don't need you anymore, she continued gently. And that's something I'll always thank you for. As she walked away, Daniel stood there, finally understanding the weight of what he had done. He had gained millions, but lost something priceless. And Amelia? She didn't just survive. She transformed. Because sometimes, the moment that breaks you, is the very moment that sets you free. What if the person who broke you came back, begging for a second chance, after you had already built a life so powerful, you no longer needed them? Stay with me, because this chapter isn't about revenge, it's about something far greater. Months after that encounter, Amelia's life had transformed in ways she once couldn't even imagine. Her company wasn't just successful, it was changing lives. Women from around the world reached out to her, sharing stories of how her platform had helped them rebuild after heartbreak, betrayal, and loss. Each message reminded her of the night she had stood in the rain with nothing but a suitcase, and how far she had come since then. But success didn't erase the past. It reshaped it. There were moments, quiet ones, when Amelia would sit alone in her penthouse office, staring out at the city lights, remembering who she used to be. Not the broken woman Daniel left behind, but the hopeful one who once believed love could conquer anything. And that's when her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Amelia, it's me. Daniel. His voice sounded different. Gone was the arrogance, replaced by something fragile, almost uncertain. I know I don't deserve your time, he said quickly, but please, just hear me out. Against her better judgment, she agreed to meet him, one last time. They chose a quiet cafe, far from the spotlight. When Amelia arrived, Daniel was already there. But the man sitting across from her was not the same one who had thrown her out. He looked tired. I've been trying to fix everything, he began, his hands trembling slightly. But nothing feels right anymore. The business, it's falling apart. I made decisions I shouldn't have. Trusted people I shouldn't have trusted. Amelia listened silently. I thought money was everything, he continued. I thought success meant winning at all costs. But I lost you, and after that, nothing mattered. There it was. Regret. Raw and undeniable. For a moment, Amelia felt a flicker of the old pain, but it passed quickly, replaced by something stronger, clarity. You didn't just lose me, Daniel, she said calmly. You lost yourself. He looked down, unable to argue. I came here to ask, he hesitated, his voice breaking, if there's any chance, we could start over. The question lingered in the air, heavy with history. Amelia leaned back slightly, studying him, not with love, not with anger, but with understanding. Do you know what the hardest part was? She asked softly. It wasn't losing the house. Or the money. It was realizing that the person I trusted most, saw me as nothing. Daniel's eyes filled with regret. I was wrong, he whispered. I was blind. Yes, Amelia said. You were. Silence settled between them again, but this time, it felt final. I've forgiven you, she continued, her voice steady. Not for you, but for me. Because I refuse to carry that pain anymore. Daniel looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. But forgiveness doesn't mean going back, she added. That hope, shattered. I've built a life I'm proud of, Amelia said. A life where I know my worth. And I won't risk losing that again. He nodded slowly, the weight of her words sinking in. I understand, he said, though it clearly hurt. Amelia stood, ready to leave, but before she did, she paused. Thank you, she said. Daniel blinked, confused. For what? For showing me that I deserved more, she replied. Even if you didn't realize you were doing it. And with that, she walked away, not as the woman who had been abandoned, but as the woman who had rebuilt herself from nothing. In the months that followed, Amelia's influence continued to grow. She expanded her company, launched global initiatives, and became a voice for those who felt unheard. Her story wasn't just about success, it was about transformation. As for Daniel, he faced the consequences of his choices. His empire, once untouchable, slowly crumbled under poor decisions and lost trust. But more than the money, it was the loneliness that haunted him, the quiet realization that he had traded something real for something temporary. And that was his greatest regret. Amelia, on the other hand, found something far more valuable than wealth. Peace. Because in the end, she didn't just prove him wrong. She proved to herself that being left behind was never the end of her story, it was the beginning of the life she was meant to live.